What is up, guys? My name is Lex. Today we're playing at MGM National Harbor, but for this video it's going to be a little bit different. I'm going to be bringing on a special guest, and that guest is my brother. Alright, here he is. We're going to be playing some 1-3 no limit. I'm going to give him a $300 free roll, which means if he wins money, we split the profit 50-50. If he loses money, he doesn't owe me anything. Seems like a pretty great deal for him, but before we get in there, let's learn a little bit more about this guy. So, tell me your name and how old you are.
My name is Coy Ozias, and I'm 26 years old.
All right, and then how long have you been living here in Washington, D.C.? And also, what do you do for a living here?
I've been living here in our nation's capital for the past 4 years, and that whole time I've been an intelligence analyst at the Department of Defense.
Okay, and give us a little bit more information on your poker history.
Well, you know, I'm still learning. I've only played live a handful of times, but I'm ready to get better, and it starts today.
Okay, and I also recently heard that you were playing poker overseas. Tell me a little bit more about that.
Yeah, I was deployed to Iraq last spring for a few months, and on Sundays we'd all get together for a little poker game.
All right, so you haven't played too much live cash, probably like 2 or 3 times in your entire life, but you were playing poker recently overseas with some friends. How are you feeling leading into this session? Are you nervous, confident, excited? Tell us how you feel.
You know, I'm pretty confident. I'm not sure if you've seen many of these, but I watch some of these vlogs on YouTube.
Okay. Oh yeah. Who's your favorite poker vlogger to watch?
Oh, it's easy. It's Brad Owen.
No, Brad.
Oh well, you of course.
Yeah. Okay, so you like Brad's your favorite, but you like watching. Okay. Yeah. All right. So how are you feeling? Are you confident? You feeling good?
You know, I'm ready to go. I'm just gonna go in there focused. I got a clear heart. I got a clear mind.
All right.
I put in the work. It's all in there. I just got to perform.
All right.
The hay is in the barn.
Oh, the hay is in the barn. All right, cool. So he seems confident. $300 free roll. We'll see how it goes. Let's get down to the table. Let's get to the action. Let's go. We make it to the casino, and before some poker, we gotta get some fuel. So we sit down and get ourselves a nice Italian dinner, spaghetti and meatballs, Caesar salad, a taste of Italy as well. Heading finally to the poker room where Coy buys us both Blue Moons, and we finally get seated at a table right next to each other. I sit down with $500, which is the max. Coy has $300, and he wastes no time getting into the action. This hand, Coy races from under the gun to $20 in a 1-3 game. He gets called by under the gun +1, and then a middle position player 3-bets Coy to $45. Back over to the small blind who cold calls $45, and now Coy calls $45 as well. Under the gun +1 decides to fold his hand, and they end up going 3 ways to the flop. I've actually never experienced this feeling before in live poker where I have staked someone who is at the same table as me. So not only am I worrying and sweating the chips in my stack, I'm now sweating and worrying about the money in my brother's stack because it's all my money. He now is playing a 3-bet pot. He's only played live cash game poker maybe 5 times in his life, but the flop comes down 9-7-3 rainbow, and Coy leads out for $50. You can see in the top corner here that middle position player who re-raised pre-flop then raises Coy to $125. So Coy raised pre-flop. He got 3-bet by middle position player. They go 3 ways to a 9-7-3 board, and Coy leads out for $50 and now gets raised by the initial 3-better to $125. I don't know, it doesn't feel too great. When the small blind folds, the action's back over on Coy, and he goes all in. He's all in his first hand. He shows pocket queens, and his opponent shows pocket aces. Oh my God. Queens versus aces on Coy's very first hand, and he gets completely and utterly stacked. All right, it didn't start well. Coy, tell us what happened.
Well, I got hot, blacked out for most of that hand, but what I remember is I had 2 queens, and then everything else after that I just shipped it.
All right, so Coy had 2 queens. He raised to 20, he got 3-bet, he called, he let out on the flop, guy raised, he went all in with queens, you know, and his opponent had aces. So
what are you gonna do?
Pretty big cooler. Coy got stacked within, I think...
About 18 minutes.
About 18 minutes.
Yeah.
But I gave him another 300, and we're going to do makeup on this one. So if he wins money, he's got to pay me back. So we'll see.
Very, very generous.
Time to get back in there. I bring out $300 out of my bag and give it over to Koi. We actually switch seats so I can get a better viewpoint for the vlog. And now it's my turn to play a hand. I raise ace-9 of diamonds under the gun. The button calls and Koi's in the big blind and 3 bets to 28 bucks. Man, what is up with this kid? Well, he could have a monster. He could be tilted. I really have no idea, but I'm going to give him some action and call here with ace-9 suited, and the button ends up folding. So we go heads up to Jack 9-4, all clubs. I flop second pair. Koi puts out a bet, and I just don't think he's ever bluffing, especially into me. So I fold my second pair, and he shows me pocket aces. So pretty crazy. He's gotten queens, lost his entire stack, and now comes back to the table and wins a small one with aces. Koi seems to be picking up some hands because one orbit later he raises under the gun to $12. With pocket nines, I just call, and then the button 3 bets us to $50. Koi calls, and given the fact that the button has about a $500 stack, Koi has about a $300 stack, I definitely think we can set mine here in a 3-bet pot. I'm looking for a 9, and a 9 is what we get. Queen, 9, deuce, 2 hearts. Koi checks, I check, button bets $40, Koi folds with the action back over on me. I definitely want to raise on this super wet and connected board. Out of position, I decide to bump it to $100. I basically just min click it. I'm just trying to get called by all of his entire range, even ace king, his gut shots, straight draws, his flush draws, his over pairs. I don't want to scare him away. My hand is just super strong, but calling is not what he decides to do. He decides to ship it all in. So of course, I make the snap call. We have the second nuts. Turns a king and rivers a deuce. We make a full house. He shows queen 10 for top pair on the flop. That is no good versus our set of nines. River full house, and we win just about a $1,000 pot here, flopping a set. So far, Koi gets stacked his very first hand, but then I stack my opponent to be up around $500 in the day. So Koi's down over 300, I'm up over 500, so that equals around a profit of $200 so far. But the night is very young. Make sure to stay tuned all the way to the end of this video. The action heats up and things get very, very exciting. Moving along, there's a raise to $15. I 3-bet ace-jack offsuit in middle position to $55. My opponent has a large stack, so I'm looking to go heads up in position in a 3-bet pot, which is what happens. We flop top 2 pair on ace-jack deuce. I continue for $20, a very small bet, and he comes along with a call. Now we pick up the action here on the turn, which is the 9 of diamonds. He has probably $800 or $900 in his stack. I have about $1,000 in my stack, so I definitely want to start ramping up the bet sizing here. Top 2 pair is a very good hand, especially in a 3-bet pot. I make it $95, and the action is back over on my opponent. He looks at me, looks down at his cards, looks at his chips, and then announces raise. He raises me here to $327. I 3-bet pre-flop, get a magical top 2 pair flop, and now I'm facing a check raise on the turn. A pretty great scenario, except if my opponent has pocket deuces or pocket nines, maybe pocket jacks. I actually don't expect him to have nines very often, and even deuces I think might check raise to flop. I have an ace and a jack in my hand, so I block him from having aces and jacks. I think it's very likely he could have a hand like ace-deuce, ace-jack as well, maybe even ace-9. So with only $400 left in his stack, I am just never going to be folding this hand. So I decided to just rip it all in for his last 400, and we get snap called, so might not be good. And when the river comes out, the queen of diamonds, he shows pocket nines for a turn set. A pretty sick cooler there for us. We flop top 2 pair, he turns a set, and we end up losing almost a $2,000 pot here. I'm going to chalk this one up as a cooler, which happens a lot in poker when you have a very strong hand and someone just has a slightly better hand. The thing is, I know nothing about my opponent. If it was a very tight, nitty player, I actually could maybe find a fold on the turn, but he seemed to be one of the action players at the table, seem to be raising a lot of hands and playing a lot of hands as well. I just can never be folding top 2 pair there. If I call on the turn, I'm never folding the river, so I decided to go with my hand, and unfortunately for us, we ran into a set. I decided to rebuy for another $300 or $400 and get myself up to a $500 stack. The player who just won that huge pot off me with a set of 9s immediately racks up his chips and leaves, so I decided to switch over to a better looking table with Koi here on my left, and I look down at aces right off the bat. In the big blind, there's three $3 limps to me. I bump it up to $25. I want to go big here out of position after a bunch of people have shown interest in the pot. The cutoff player is my only caller, so we're heads up out of position to an ace 5-7 board. Top set for us. On these kind of boards, I think checking is fine, letting my opponent to catch up a little bit or maybe bluff. So I check and he checks back. Turn jack of hearts, I bet 20 now and he calls. River king of spades, I bet 30 and he folds. This entire time I was playing these big pots with ace jack or aces, Koi has just been folding the entire time. He's on my left here. Maybe he's shell shocked from losing his entire stack with queens, or maybe he's just card dead. Well, he wakes up in this hand when he 3-bets me. I raise ace 8 of clubs to $15 and he re-raises to 30. There's a button call and I decide to make the call here with a suited ace. I feel like he's going to have a very strong hand given the fact that he hasn't played a hand in over an hour. When the flop comes out, king 6-3, 2 clubs. I flopped a nut flush draw. I check. Koi checks and the button checks behind. Turn jack of diamonds and now I decide to take the lead in the hand, betting out $30. Koi calls $30 and the button very quickly calls as well. So we're still 3 ways to the 4 of clubs on the river, giving us the absolute nuts, the best hand possible. I don't want to bet too big here. I want to bet a sizing that pocket queens or a jack can call. So I just bet $40. Like I said earlier in the vlog, this is such a weird situation where I'm staking my brother for a buy-in. So if he calls, I'm really not winning money. I'm just winning my own money. So it's just a really, really odd situation. Koi's in the tank over here and cutting out chips. I think he's going to call until I see him raise me. He min-raises me here to $80. A super, super weird play. I don't think he's ever bluffing here, but I got to make sure I still have the nuts. So I look back at my cards. I look at the board. There's no straight flushes. There's no paired board. So, yeah, I've got the nuts. I have no idea what he's doing this with. The other player ends up folding, and I'm never going to be soft playing my brother. I've got the nuts. There's only one option here. All right, little brother, I'm all in.
Really?
Yeah.
All right, I call.
I got you. Give it to me.
You got the...
Oh, no!
APP for 510, going once, going twice. Dan
Koi.
K for 510, Dan K for 510.
I got you, Koi. Sorry. It's okay. All right. Koi, what happened, buddy? What happened?
You know, I get those aces and it's like
Yep.
a switch just flips.
Yep.
And I see
Okay,
red.
so Koi had aces and he didn't listen to what I told him. I told him he needs to raise 3 times the raise, and he only made it 2 times. He didn't bet the flop. Okay, he was trapping. The turn, he was being tricky. The turn, he just called, which is fine. The river play, I want to hear what you guys have to say about the river play. He min-raised me on the river and then called my all-in when the flush got there. I don't know, Koi.
I don't remember what I did.
Yeah, I think he blacked out again. So now Koi's in the game for $900. I think I'm just about even. We're going to get some milkshakes a little bit later. Hopefully Koi starts running better.
I'm going to have to sell my car.
Yeah. We get back to the table and I give Koi another $300, and over the next hour or so, he just cannot win a single pot, and now he only has about $200 left in his stack. Not looking too good, Koi. A pretty fun and interesting hand up next, where there is a $6 straddle, a couple calls, and I overcall on the button with 8-4 of diamonds. We end up going like 4 or 5 ways to an ace 5-3 2-diamond board. I flop a combo draw here with a straight draw and a flush draw. checks to the cutoff player who bets $36 versus this large sizing I decided to just call. And now the small blind player with about $200 in his stack check raises here to $80. Other players fold him back over to the cutoff who calls $80. And now I have to figure out, what do I want to do here with my 8-high flush draw? I have a pretty strong hand. A deuce gives me a straight, a diamond gives me a flush. Is the cutoff very strong after he just calls this $80? The small blind only has about $150 left, so I think this could be a spot I could just jam all in and try to put a lot of pressure on my opponents. I feel like the small blind is never going to be folding after he does this $80 raise. However, I could get the cutoff to fold a hand like a better flush draw or just a single pair ace hand. The cutoff player has $450 behind, and he seems like a player who doesn't want to put in a ton of money without a very strong hand. The way this hand's played out, I think he just has a single pair ace at best. So I decided to just go with my hand here and jam all in. All in.
All in.
After jamming all in, I'm expecting the small blind to call rather quickly, but he folds his hand, which is just really confusing to me. What hand is he possibly raising to 80 and then folding for $150 more? I have no idea. But now the action's back over on the cutoff, and he goes into the tank now for 4 minutes. He's thinking forever. So long, they actually have to call the clock on him, and he waits all the way down into the last 6 seconds and eventually folds. So we end up taking this one down with 8-high. It's getting relatively late and our table is getting somewhat short-handed, but after this hand, 2 guys sit down and both of them say that they watch my videos, which is pretty awesome. We end up getting in a hand with both of them here where there's an under-the-gun straddle. I peel back jacks in middle position and raise to $20. Player to my left who says he watches my vlog makes the call, and the other vlog watcher in the straddle makes the call as well. So these guys have probably seen over 100 videos of me playing poker. They probably know exactly how I'm going to play. Well, it's not going to help them when I flop a set on King Jack 5 all hearts. Checks to me and I bet out $45. Player to my left in the cutoff makes the call and the straddler makes the fold. Well, the turn of the deuce of hearts is a very gross card, so I slow down and check and he checks behind. River card ace of hearts. Ugh, gross run out. Now I have a flush. I just check and he checks back and shows pocket 5s for bottom set. Pretty sick. He actually told me when he sat down that he just got set under set. So of course I show him my pocket jacks and we get a little bit of a laugh.
You guys are both crazy.
Same thing happened again.
You're supposed to put the king on the
You want your face or no?
See some
Right. Fan of the vlog. Over the next hour, things are just not going too well for my little brother Koi. He races to $15 with only about $60 left in his stack, and he immediately gets 3-bet by the guy who watches my vlogs. To his left makes it $55. The other fella over here who watches my vlogs makes the call, and now the action's back over on Koi, and he decides it is all going in. He has about $80. He's in the game for $900. I don't think he's really ever won a big pot this entire night. He got stacked with queens his very first hand. He also got stacked with aces when I had ace 8, and now he is going for it here, all in for around $80. The player to his left rejams all in, so I think to myself, oh shit. While the player in the small blind is now thinking over his options facing this $300 jam by the player to Koi's left, I take a sneak peek at Koi's cards and he has ace 5 suited, so not really the cards I was looking for Koi to have here. He had been waiting all night for a good spot and he put all of his chips in with ace 5 suited. I mean, it's an okay hand, but he's probably crushed by the player to his left. The player to his left went all in for over $300. I'm guessing he has a big pocket pair or ace king. Eventually the small blind player ends up folding, and the player to Koi's left shows us the bad news, pocket kings. Yeah, alright.
We can share, right?
Yeah. God damn it, Koi. Koi is all in and behind against pocket kings. His last $80 here. If he loses this pot, he's going to be down I'm going to be down $900 on the night. Koi uses his one time, and I use my one time as well.
Uh-oh.
Ah, wrong color, too.
No.
Oh! Yeah. Oh no.
75.
On the river. Oh my god. How'd you do it?
Sorry.
I did not think that was coming.
Neither did I.
I think they call that Barry Greenstein. Ace on the river to crack pocket kings. Koi finally wins a pot here and now has about $200 behind. Sweating the action again with Koi, where he raises from early position to $15 and gets a call from the button. He checks on a 10-5-9 board, and his opponent on the button puts out a bet of $15. Koi looks back at his hand and then check calls $15. I have no idea what he has here, but when the turn's a jack of diamonds, Koi checks again. The button bets 30 and Koi goes into the tank. He hems and haws a little bit and eventually calls $30. The river card's the ace of clubs, and now the action's over on Koi.
Every good deal it does. Good job.
All in.
Koi just got the double up with ace-5 suited. Now he's all in again for his last $150. Like I said, he doesn't know too much about poker, so I'm just hoping he's not overplaying a one-pair hand and doesn't get stacked by a two-pair hand. But eventually, the button folds and Koi shows king-queen for the turned nut straight. Yeah. Wow. All right, you played that. You played that terribly. Jeez. My God, what a bad play. Koi is wasting no time to get back into the action with about $250 in his stack. There's a raise to 15 and a call, and he 3-bets out of the small blind to $67. Actually, it looks like $68. Back over to the initial raiser who folds, and the action's over here on the button, and eventually he decides to go all in. Koi doesn't snap call, which makes me feel like he doesn't have aces, kings, or queens, which makes me kind of mad that he was probably getting out of line, but eventually he does come up with the decision.
I went the same hand I called, the same hand I started with.
Hopefully not ace. What do you got, queens?
Yeah.
Koi is all in for the third time in 30 minutes. He says he's got pocket queens. Let's see if he can win.
Got this.
Wow, nice hand, nice hand. Wow, nice.
No, well, that's not.
Holy crap, Koi. Look at this.
Man.
Good bet.
Yeah.
Sick.
That's a big one, Koi.
Yeah, it was.
Only 400 more to go. Talk about swings in poker. Koi was down to $80 just 30 minutes ago, and now he's sitting on over $500. Sweating another hand of Koi's where he raises out of the small blind and gets 2 callers. The flop is 3 ways of 10 deuce. I feel like Koi's got a strong hand because he's been playing basically only strong hands this entire time. He c-bets for $15, and the big blind comes along with a call. Middle position player folds. So now they're heads up to the jack of diamonds on the turn. Like I said, I have no idea what Koi has, but it's got to be a good hand when he continues to bet for $40. The big blind, the player to our left, has been very friendly the entire night. We've been talking back and forth, and now he starts talking about his hand, keeps saying that he has a pair. He has about $150 left, so I feel like Koi probably has aces, kings, or queens, maybe a 10, ace, jack. He's telling the story he has a big hand. The big blind says he's got a good hand, a pair, but he thinks he's beat and eventually folds, and Koi shows for the vlog. Oh, wow.
Look at the stones.
Wow. Coy shows ace queen for a semi-bluff, a pretty sick double barrel by him. I asked him later where he learned to play like that, and he said, easy. I learned it from my favorite vlogger, Brad Owen. Alright, this is my poker vlog. Let's show a hand I play. I have pocket queens now and under the gun. I raised to $15, folds all the way back over to the big blind who calls. So we're heads up in position to ace 8-8. He checks and I check back. Turn, queen of diamonds, full house for us. The big blind leads for $15. I decide to raise right away here to $65. My opponent goes into the tank and calls. Things are looking good for us, and the deuce of hearts on the river seems like a great card for me. He checks again, and I think I could go big here. I could go small or medium, and I think actually a very big bet is good. I'm hoping he has an ace. He's chopping with a lot of aces. My hand doesn't make too much sense. He knows I'm filming for the vlog. He might try to bluff catch me here, so I go $225. After thinking for a little over a minute, my opponent calls off $225, and queens are good, and this ends up being our last hand of the night. It's past 3 a.m. We've been playing for a long time. We end up racking up our chips, heading to the cage, and cashing out for the night. Alright guys, that is it for this one. Playing 1-3 no limit here at MGM National Harbor in Maryland. For the cash outs, I was in the game for a lot of money, like over $1,500 I think. Cashed out for 26 and change, which is a huge cash out for a 1-3 game. Ended up profiting about $933. Coy was in the game for $900 and cashed out for how much?
$577.
$577 cash out. So Coy ended up losing about $300. I won about $900. I would say it's actually a win for Coy. He was in the game for $900. At one point, he was down over $800. He got his aces cracked. He got his queens cracked. He couldn't make a hand. He had just a little stack left, and then he came back and won. He was all in with ace-5 suited and hit a miracle ace on the river. The next hand, he won with queens. He made a straight, made a good bluff with ace-queen, and ended up not losing too much. Overall, I think it was a really fun experience. Obviously, playing with each other. I think it's a great example for Coy of what it's like just to be a recreational player. I feel like you guys can probably feel how he's feeling. You come in, you've been working all week, and you play, and you get your aces cracked and your queens cracked. It happens all the time, and he felt a little bit unlucky at first, but I think I think it was fun, right? How'd you feel?
You know, it's tough sitting down and, getting queens and getting stacked right off the bat.
Yeah.
But there's nothing quite like just going on a run and winning 500 right at the end.
Yep.
And I bluffed somebody.
Yeah.
So,
he bluffed. He bluffed with ace high.
I did it.
And the guy folded a pair apparently. Do you think you'll play poker a little bit more now? What do you think?
I don't know. I don't know if I can take it.
I staked him this entire time. I just kept giving him $300. So I think if it was his money, it would definitely be a lot different. I did tell him, look, I'll continue to stake you if you study, because unfortunately he has no idea what the hell he's doing. He doesn't understand much of anything. But to not really know what you're doing and come away with only a $300 loss, I'll take it. Anything else to the people, Coy?
Just keep grinding.
Yep,
just keep
grinding.
going. I felt like leaving, stuck it out.
Yep.
Stuck to the ranges.
Whatever
that means.
He doesn't know what range is.
And we won some back.
Yeah, he won some back. He didn't give up. And it was a good day. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. Share some love down in the comments for Coy, probably his third or fourth time playing live poker. And make sure to hit the like button, comment down below, subscribe, trying to get to 50,000 subscribers. But that is it for this one. Until next time, we'll see you.